Hello, everyone, and welcome to SMAdulting, Spinal Muscular Atrophy, but adulting. We are three women who have SMA, and we have successfully navigated our teens, and I think two of us are still in our precarious 20s. I am 1 year away from being a thornback, because I'm no longer, 36 next year. Well, I'm gonna be 36 next year, and we welcome you. This Chillcast is number 5 of the series, and we're gonna be talking about school stories. It can be anything from actual school stories to how you were treated in school, the facilities that we had. I it's pretty much a free for all, so anybody could just jump in and talk about it. Hina is 20. Wonderful. You are going into the age of 100% faith in yourself and the ability to bounce off after 2 nights of no sleep. I cannot do that anymore because I'm old. But yes, I think starting off, we'll just go with Aina and Joyce. Maybe you guys can just roughly say, you don't have to say the name of the school, but you can say whether or not you were in a local school or like a specialized um what's the like very specific language school. You have the Tamil schools and the Mandarin schools, instead of like the average sekolah kebangsaan kind of thing. Or if you were in um what is it, international or co-ed or girls only.
Hmm. I know you want to start first.
Uh, I don't mind. Okay.
Go ahead.
So my primary one. Wait. Let me recall back. Okay. So standard one. I went to a girls' school. Very famous. Famous school. I wish I can say that school.
No,
But no
don't
lah.
say,
No,
don't
don't
let
say it.
people
Don't say it.
stalk you.
Don't say it. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You can
So
allude
yeah.
to them, but don't say the name.
Yeah.
Nanti the fitness squad will come and attack us.
That's why lah. So macam, okay, cannot. But it's a very famous school, girls' school.
Oh,
So
welcome
what
for other
happened?
people. Yeah, so in grade 1 you were in an all-girls school.
Yeah,
Would you say
no, only for a few months actually. I think for a month.
only for a few months? Kenapa?
Because the teacher said if I want to stay there, my parents need to hire a PA,
What?
a personal part time, not part time, a personal caregiver for me for to cater me at the school. Because last time
Okay.
I still can walk, I can still can walk, but walk like a penguin like that.
Yeah, susah lah. Was your school sort of upstairs or was it one floor?
No, it's one floor. It is one floor. Everything is one floor. That time lah. But then the teacher said, no, if you want to stay here, your daughter, you must hire someone to take care of your daughter
Buruknya
because
perangai.
she's yeah. The teacher said because parents complain. There other parents complain that if the teacher accompany me to the toilet, so the education system, the classes will be, lah, kacau. Then the kids will not be in the proper way. No one will handle the kids lah like that.
Was this like an asrama style of school, or did you have to go in the morning and leave
No,
in the
isn't.
afternoon?
Yeah, it's
What?
just in the morning school.
I am
It is like half
amazed
day.
by this.
Yeah, so the specific teacher pointed that out to my mom, and mom was like, not happy. Okay, so my dad said, oh, never mind. We can argue, but the thing is that I'm the one who kena nanti anything. So
Mm.
they pulled me out from the school, and we find another school.
Wow, just straight up asshole parents. Good job,
Yeah,
parents.
but then
I say good job.
but the teacher kena transferred somewhere.
Teacher couldn't transfer somewhere,
Yeah,
like
because
out
my
of the
mom,
school.
yeah, out of her school because my mom complained to Suhakam.
Oh,
What is Suhakam? Yeah, right, Suhakam.
it's funny because we talk a lot about education being accessible to children of all races, creeds, religions, and types. But we don't afford these kind of things to everyone, really, honestly. So
Yeah,
that was just the first few months in grade one. Can I ask you
yeah,
how that made you feel? Because I can imagine you're in the infant stages of creating your personality, right?
yeah. I think I don't feel sad or anything. I was just so excited. I was excited to go to school. It's our first year,
Mm.
so yeah. I don't feel bad about it. I don't know nothing. I know nothing about that back then. Okay, if now of course I will be angry, yeah. But back then, I don't know anything about the teacher.
Oh, itulah,
What I know is
teacher.
that I want to go to the I want to school. I want to go to the school. I'm excited to learn something, make new friends.
Do you remember the
Actually, my friends,
students? Like your other
yeah,
classmates?
yeah, I remember. I remember I have a girl. Of course, like it's a girl. They waited for me every day at the school gate. My mom will send me then, so she will wait me. Then we will walk together to the class.
Why couldn't they have just assigned like a buddy system? I mean, I understand, you're in grade one, you're 6 years old, but you're already forming relationships at that age. It's the first day of school. You're in a new
Yeah,
school. You're meeting head on into a new system, and you're making friends, right? Naturally, this is the
yep,
perfect time to get other students to be like, "Oh, hey, you're disabled. We should help you,
yeah,
or we should try and make it easier for you." And knowing
yes,
children, we don't pay attention at that age. Like, what is learning? Learning is being tactile with your environment, touching things, hearing things, listening, engaging with things. In before anybody says this, I disagree with how people are being educated nowadays, because we are sitting in a new generation of picking up knowledge, of learning, and we have to get away from 200 plus years ago, post industrial revolution, creating children, creating workers who are good at uh, following tasks, not questioning the
mhm,
establishment. Because when you have establishment questioning workers, you're going to get unionization, you're going to get less profits. But that's besides the point. It was wild that they say, oh, I say they, I mean the parents that accused you of being the one thing that's going to distract a bunch of 6-year-olds from learning.
I think I think it's not the parents. I think it's just the teacher making
It's just
fuss.
that teacher
Yeah, I think it's the teacher.
leveraging on the parents. That's even worse. Like, it's just
Yeah,
cowardly.
it is.
Like, finding a school that is one floor is crazy good already. Like, you'll be like, okay, this is a one floor system.
Yeah,
Everything is walkable. Even if you can't walk, all you have to do is build ramps everywhere. If you're in a wheelchair, you can use uh what is it, the teacher's toilet if you need something bigger. I know one particular lady who has her child going to school this year, and they're preparing, and she's asking me a lot of questions like, oh, what should I get ready for? My kid is going into grade one, and I'm like, okay, you have to prepare for kids being assholes to each other.
yeah.
But
That's that.
also the kid is going to learn boundaries. The kid is going to learn how to socialize. This is the best time. I hate to tell people not to go to school. Go to school. School is important, but not for the reasons you think. Not for post-industrial revolution reasons, but for social reasons. Learning how to interact with one another. Um, what about post like grade one? You were there for a few months, and then this thing happened. Teacher got kicked out. I say kicked out, like removed from that
Mhm.
station, put into another station. And where did you go after?
I went to another school, a sekolah kebangsaan. Oh, that one, another different story.
Uh huh. Macam mana?
Okay, from a standard to standard three is still okay. My class is downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes to standard four, the teacher decided to move my class to the first floor.
Kenapa? Like, why?
With
Of all
a
things.
reason, yeah, with all the reason that I remember that teacher clearly. I remember his name, okay? I even
You
remember his face.
think
Geram
he's
punya
still
kakak,
alive?
okay? Yeah, yeah, he's still. I saw his Facebook.
Wow. Okay. Give
Okay.
us his first name because it's a Malay
Don't do
name.
that. Yeah. No, it's too common. Don't do
Oh,
that.
it's
No, no,
okay,
no.
okay,
It's
fine,
such
fine,
a
fine, fine. Um,
okay. So his
so
reason
uh-huh.
to put my class upstairs is because oh yeah, later apa ni near with library and also science lab and computer lab.
Huh? What nonsense?
Because computer lab is upstairs. So standard for we already started to use science lab lah. All those library also we use. But then yeah, the thing is that in the timetable, the schedule only one time je tau you pergi, you have to go to the science lab lah or whatever computer lab.
What nonsense is this? So
Yeah,
that was
only like
the
one.
bullshit excuse that
Yes,
they give to you.
after 3 years. I think after he transferred. I can't remember. He transferred there or what, but that was his reason back then.
Okay.
Standard 4. So my mom and dad cannot say anything. They say it's so hard to find another school anymore because it's not good for myself lah. Nanti even my what do you say, my grades lah maybe like I might tertinggal sana sini if
Mm-mm.
I change another school. So they decided to just stay there. But what we did was every time my mom make how to say a deal with the teacher. If
Mm-hmm.
you need to go to upstairs or if need to go to upstairs, they will come. So my dad will come and tell him lah.
Menyusahkan.
So imagine the sacrifice that my parents made.
Yeah, no, our parents made a lot of
A
sacrifices.
lot.
They made a lot of enemies, I believe, because when you're fighting for the rights of your child, or if you're fighting for the rights of anyone, you make a lot of enemies who enjoy the status quo. They don't like the
Mm.
boat being rocked because they're comfortable. When people are comfortable, they do silly things like deny the rights of everybody else. Um, so this was in grade 4 when they moved you up, kan?
Yeah, and then grade 5, they
Mm-hmm.
decided to move me to the higher level.
Oh my god.
So we got no choice. Just go up and down like that lah. But then luckily, that time we already big. Like my friends also, they know how to handle me.
Mm.
So I can ask them lah. So they will carry me together with the wheelchair. That's the best thing about a friend lah, a good friend.
Cool. I feel like when you're in a wheelchair at that age in life, you get to interact more with people who sort of one see you in a wheelchair, so they recognize a certain shortcoming of the situation, not of yourself, but of the built environment.
Hmm.
I went through a different thing, which is similar, but like a little bit more. I'll explain it later. I think Joyce, what did you go through in school? Like what
What did I
was
go through in school?
yeah.
Uh, to be honest, I didn't have a complete education
Mm-hmm.
because of my mom. She had the tendency to pull me in and out of school whenever she fancied. So I was always getting thrown in halfway, which can be confusing sometimes because sometimes you don't even know where to start. Okay, let's start from when I was young. Uh, I've never attended kindergarten
Mm-hmm.
because I was considered a liability and
Huh?
I was rejected by school authorities when my mom tried to enroll me into kindergarten.
Was it the local government school authorities or the school
In
committee themselves?
kindergarten, I think my mom tried to enroll me in a private one,
Uh-huh.
but they rejected. So
Mm.
I didn't attend kindergarten. I was mostly at home getting schooled by my mom. Um, so I was enrolled into standard 1 when I was 7. And the funny thing was that I was the only kid uh, being very happy at that moment on the first day of school
Mm-hmm.
while the rest of them were crying. I was like, I cannot wait to, get started with classes and stuff like that. So, uh, another one was kind of nice and bad at the same time. Um, the first thing was that my mom, she assigned me to the far left corner of the classroom in front
Wait, why?
without,
Why?
because she was scared that they might push me over because I didn't
Valid?
have balance.
Uh-huh.
So
You
she wanted.
were in the wheelchair already at this point.
No, she didn't let me use a wheelchair.
No, so you were still walking at that point.
Nope, I was sitting on the
So
chair.
you were carried everywhere by your mom.
Only when I go to school from the car to the classroom and classroom to the car.
So
But the
you
moment
stayed
I'm
in class like the entire time. Like you didn't have the opportunity to hang out with the other kids.
nope.
Oh dear. Okay.
Okay.
Continue.
Even toilet was an issue because my mom would get angry if I asked to go to the toilet. So she always tell me you have to hold your pee, and I'm like okay. So it's always like one whole day without drinking water, and kind of got used to that. So I think I did went to the toilet once, and then uh, I got reprimanded badly by her. So that was the last time I ever went to the toilet. Um, actually, I had some nice friends. Boys especially, they like to hang out with me.
Mm.
There was one boy who liked to accompany me during lunch breaks. My mom wasn't a fan of me making friends and stuff like that. She said you have to be careful about friends, and she had this kind of paranoia about making friends. Whenever she sees someone approach me, she would like, become like very defensive and tell me that you have to be alert and you have to protect yourself and blah blah blah.
That's so weird. Like you want to make as many friends as possible so you can
Yeah,
leverage
yeah,
on them socially. Like that's what being a human being is. We are pack animals. We are herd creatures.
she doesn't like it, and she doesn't like it if like I talk to other kids or share with other kids about my life and stuff like that.
I
She
feel like
didn't like it,
this
so
this this is more a problem with your mom. Like she has her own insecurities that she's putting on you at that age, and you were like what, 6,
7.
7?
7. Oh,
Wild.
She is very insecure.
Mm.
Anyway, the headmaster was actually a very understanding guy. He was okay with me being in school, and he encouraged my mom to let me continue my studies and stuff like that. He even bought me a box of color pencils, which was very nice and sweet of him.
Oh.
But there was the issue was that parents complained having a disabled kid in school. They complained to the teachers that having a disabled kid in class might affect their children mentally.
What, like the disability is transmitted to other
They
children?
think it's
What
infectious. They think it's
nonsense is
infectious.
this?
And then they think that, oh, if you put my kid in the same class with a kid who is disabled, they might end up retarded. And I'm
Okay,
like,
the only thing that's
okay.
gonna happen if you have disabled children in classrooms is they're going to get empathy and
Hmm.
learn how to be a human being.
Well, they didn't take it that way because every time it was near break time or like if it's almost the end of school, you can see the parents lined up at the hallway and then they were waiting for their kids and then they would just stare me down. Um, okay, I mean, even my mom, she couldn't take the pressure, so she one day she like carried me and then she suddenly got me down on a flower pot outside the school, outside the classroom, and then she asked everyone to look at me and said that I have no shame. So
Oh,
everyone surrounded me, and I was like, okay. So he took out our frustrations on me.
what?
And then there was also one parent who used her butt to shove my table aside during one morning. I can
What?
remember that so vividly. Okay,
Like,
but the best part was I got third place in the whole school
uh-huh.
during the examinations.
That's awesome.
So I went to get my medal. My mom carried me up there on the stage, third place. But when I got home, my parents weren't even thrilled. They said like, "What's the point when you can't even walk?" So I'm like sitting at the door, and I'm like, okay.
Oh,
Anyway,
oh damn. I can't.
Okay. Yes.
I can't.
mm,
Oh, that hurts. Uh,
Yeah.
Did you did you stay in that school? I okay, on the one hand you have Aina who went into the school and at least Aina had the support of her parents. Joyce is straight up like, what is going on? Your only support is like your kid friends, and even they
uh,
were blindsided.
like the only person I had was myself then. So I was in school for half a year before getting pulled out by my mom. She said she didn't want to let me continue because she felt that I was a burden to her.
Oh, this hurts my heart. I can't.
Told me, don't feel bad. I mean, she's like that. Yeah, I'm already used to it. So I didn't attend it standard two. I was 8. I stayed at home self studying,
Uh-huh.
and I got enrolled back into school by my mom uh, in standard three for half a year. I was kind of lost at that point because I didn't know where to start. So for the rest of the subjects, I was doing okay except for math. Um, then I continued to standard four for almost half a year before getting pulled out again.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was back home to self studying when I was 11 years old. And when I was 12, my mom enrolled me back into school, standard six for 4 months. I didn't manage to get to sit for UPSR at the time because I wasn't prepared for the examinations.
Mm-hmm.
So she straight away put me into year seven in international school. Just like straight throw me into the class. Year seven in international school for 4 months before she pulled me out again.
Was the international school like a English school, American, Australian?
I think it was English.
Okay, okay.
It's in Cheras. And I scored 80 on my French test, but my mom wasn't thrilled either.
You spoke French?
I scored 80.
I mean,
80.
it's something.
Yes,
Ooh.
I speak basic French. But that's about it.
What was that
Um,
phrase? Tu parles le français? Oui.
un peu seulement,
What was that?
You speak French? Yes.
un peu seulement, un peu seulement.
Oh my god.
Ah, très bien, très bien. Um, it's okay. My French is really bad. I just did beginner's French.
My French is also bad. I'm more like into like I can read basic French, but if you ask me to speak, I'm like not really confident.
I sound like a 5-year-old trying to ask for snacks.
Nah, it's okay. We sound the same.
Like just going around people like, okay, how much French do you know? A little bit. Un peu.
Un peu seulement,
Un
a
peu le
little bit
français.
only.
But you are, what I'm hearing is that you're very scholastically inclined. And I know, were you inclined or were you less academic and more art?
No, I'm academic because
Academic.
of my mom.
Oh,
She
okay.
will make sure that I study every night.
I was not academic
She will
at
do that.
all. I had this lady teacher who would, oh, she's such a bitch. Not that, like, if I think about her, all I feel is like enraged feelings. I remember hobbling up the stairs. See, I did not stop walking on my own until I turned 18 or 19. That's when I really
Wow.
utilized the wheelchair to get around because it was just getting too difficult for me. But that doesn't mean I had a good time with stairs. I had an awful time with stairs. I would take the longest. Um, but that just meant throughout my life I would skip assemblies like happily while people were singing the school song. I'm physically struggling to climb up the stairs to go to my classroom. like like just it's like Everest for me. It's horrible. Um but I remember going up the stairs one day and this lady teacher passes by and she goes, "You know, you really should pay attention to your academics. You're disabled. That's the only thing you can do." And I'm sitting there like, who are you to tell me what I can and cannot do? To be fair, I'm like a C grade student all day, every day. Like that is my threshold. It's not because I'm stupid or anything, it's just because I don't care. Like it wasn't interesting enough for me to remember. Don't get me wrong. When there is a good teacher, I absorb things like a sponge. Like until now, there was this male teacher, Chinese fellow. I don't know if he's still alive. I hope he is, and I hope he's doing well. Very, very wonderful English and history teacher. Um, was one time we were talking about Malacca rule, and we're talking about Alfonso de Albuquerque, and nobody would remember the name until he said, "Okay, okay, okay, don't remember Alfonso de Albuquerque. Remember Alfonso de Albuquerque." And I remember that until now, and that was in grade 6. That was in 1999. That was so many years ago. I am dating myself. I'm old. Uh, but it's this awful idea that if you're disabled, you have no other avenues other than being academically inclined. Sometimes kids just don't like doing exams. I am one of those kids, or was one of those kids. Um, so Joyce, you went through like off and on studies, but you still did well. Was it through your own volition you pushed yourself because you felt as a child you had something to prove, or was it you're just naturally good at learning?
I think it's more like I love to study. I like
Mm-hmm.
school. I love being in school, and being in school makes me happy. Most kids don't like exams, but I was like, give it to me. So yeah, I used to like learning, and then I was always teacher's pet. So yeah, but my mom, she didn't like it when the teachers treat me well. She hated it. She would uh, say very bad things about the teachers who treat me well. When we are in the car, she would say that, oh, why is she treating you so special and blah blah blah. And then she would say, I don't like her, I hate her. And then I would just keep quiet in the car. I don't know why she hates the teachers who treat me nice, but it's weird. Anyway, um, she also uh, did create some issues with the students. She
Mm-hmm.
actually yelled at one of the girls, and then that caused a friction between me and the girl because I was just talking, and then my mom overreacted, and then she started accusing the girl of being jealous and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god. So it was embarrassing, but I couldn't do anything because my mom felt that she was right and the girl was wrong. But I did manage to patch things up with the girl because I explained to her that my mom had overreacted. I was 13 at that time in international school, and the girl was, I think, 11.
Mm-hmm.
She was from Iran, and yeah, I managed to, solve the issue, even though my mom was being a bit about it. And then after that, I got pulled out after 4 months in international school. And she didn't let me continue studying. She cut me off from my friends. She told me to throw off their contacts away. She said, don't contact them anymore and blah, blah, blah. And then she monitored everything that I said to my friends, even on the phone. So after that, I just kind of like had to disconnect from everyone. Um, yeah, so it was kind of like she cut off my interaction with society. And then I spent the rest of the years at home alone, studying by myself.
So did you do the formal exams?
Oh,
Like, you know how there's the UPSR, and then there's the PMR, and then there's
no,
the SPM?
nope, none of it. Because she didn't want it to let me go for it.
Your mom is wild.
She's not wild, she's
I
weird.
I am so happy that you got out of there and is doing, and is doing things by yourself, for
Yeah.
yourself.
I don't know, but I'm sometimes a bit, you know, I sometimes I just find it very funny that how did I manage to make it all the way up till now?
Through spite. Just the power of spite, anger.
And anyway, there was one thing about my brother when he saw that I wasn't in school, he would mock me when he came back from school. He would say that, "Oh, look at you. You're not even going to school. You're useless." He would say that, and I would just sit there and stare at him.
Bastard.
Yeah. So oh yeah, I've been um. Actually, there was one incident when I was 10 years old, doing standard 4.
Mm-hmm.
One of the teachers, math teacher, she had to do an event. So she was training a bunch of students to dance for the event. And then what happened was that she had to empty the classroom, which means that she had to remove all the tables and chairs. So I was in the classroom that day. And then I was sitting on the chair. All of the chairs and tables were moved out already, except me, because I was waiting for my mom who was running late.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I told the teacher, I said, you cannot remove the chair because I cannot stand, I cannot walk. But she was insistent. She asked the students to like haul me up, and then I just kind of like just slipped to the floor, and then she just saw what happened, and then she tried to lift me up, and then she just couldn't do it, and then she just left me there on the floor.
I wish I had the names of all of these people so we can go up to them and punch them in the throat. Like, this is the kind of violence you get as a person with disabilities in schools, especially in schools with people who are generally um less open to new things. I would like to say conservative, but some conservatives are kind of
I
nice.
would
It
say they
depends.
are intolerant. Intolerant would be the word for it.
The, I think the word that I would use is they're small-minded. They are unable to fathom anything beyond themselves. Because like I said, there are some people who are very comfortable with their state of being. They don't like doing extra. They don't like having to put themselves sort of in a
Into
situation.
trouble.
Not, I wouldn't say into
Yeah.
trouble. Like they tak nak menyusahkan diri, quote
They don't want to
Oh
unquote.
yeah,
be
doing extra work.
Yeah. Yeah,
they
like
don't want to be an inconvenience. They don't want to be inconvenienced.
yes, thank you. There's a lot of people who don't like to be inconvenienced and also like to pull the not my job kind of thing.
Mm.
And
Apathetic.
the school is inundated with that, unfortunately. Again, it's all because we just we just don't have good people representing. I'm sure
But
there
the
are
thing is
some
that
teachers who go in. Sorry, I'll get back to you in a bit. I'm sure there's
yeah,
some
yeah.
teachers who go in with like the best intentions in government school, and then they realize what's going on. They remove themselves from government schools to go into international schools because that's where they can do better. And I feel bad because On one hand, yeah, you get to be a good teacher where you're wanted. On the other hand, you're leaving a lot of the local students with less impact. They become machines who are unable to ask questions, who are unable to think for themselves, who are unable to think beyond themselves. So I am just like very, very disappointed in a lot of people growing up. I know you were saying sorry.
I was saying that, okay, let's talk about sekolah kebangsaan, right?
Mm,
The thing, we have headmasters, headmistress, but then what is their role of doing? They are not doing anything. Because
mm.
like for my case, the one that, the teacher that asked to move my class is not headmaster style. It's a discipline teacher.
For some reason, you remember the lady teacher that I was talking to you about that kind
Mm.
of ruined everything? She's also guru discipline. Like,
Yeah,
what is it? Like,
what
you
what
get a
what was
little
this?
bit, you get a little bit of power, and they turn into little Napoleons, throwing their weight around as if they're important, but they're not. Like, tiba-tiba dia is guru discipline dengan guru agama.
Mine was guru discipline and guru, yeah, on guru discipline.
I had problems with my guru discipline, not because I was a nasty child. I was difficult. My class was difficult. My class was one of the worst classes in the history of the school. We got a teacher to quit in 3 days. I say we, I mean one kid
Yeah, yeah.
who did a prank during class. And the guy left. Like 3 days later, he was like, "No, fuck this. I'm out. I don't want to teach you guys anymore." So we were the worst class in the history of the school. I do not deny that. We had a pregnant teacher come in with a 1 meter rule, slams it on the table, and then string curse words in Cantonese at us. We were Satan in a class essentially, but the guru disciplines that I had a problem with always had to poke at me in a sense where it's stuff that I cannot control, like my legs. What do you want me to do? Chop them off? Put new ones? Pay for it? I can't do that either. We don't have that technology. It's 2002. No, it's 2001. Um, and then with the religious teachers, the male ones, every time they talk to you, they would stare at your boobs. Like, bro, you're a religious teacher. Eyes up here, buddy. So a lot of people are just uncomfortable in school when it comes to religious teachers and guru disciplinary teachers. Like, why do you need a disciplinary teacher? Why? I never understood it personally, to be honest. Um, yeah. So you were saying before I got completely sidetracked.
The who?
Okay, I think I will go through my school history. Again, I didn't stop being ambulatory. I'm not gonna say the word walking. I'm gonna say the word ambulant, which means you can move. I was really wobbly. Like every time the wind blew, there was a chance I will fall. So first, I was put into a private school, private local school. It's dead now. Like that school doesn't exist anymore because of the lack of student
Oh,
and a lack of funding. Um, but it was a very prominent school with a lot of spoiled brats from various wealthy, affluent, important families. Um, and I hung around with them. I didn't really have a problem with my social skills. I was that kid who started a lot of clubs. I had the Garfield Club, I had the Cat Club, I had the club where we waste time and collect stickers and sell them to each other. It was really fun. I had a very enjoyable school life. That was in grade school. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of bullies back then. And I remember one story where somebody said, The eczema that I had next to my glasses is actually fleas, and I was so pissed off. I locked the door of the class and stopped people from having to go to class and just cried. And then I got baited by the guru discipline to open the door. That bitch. Ah. And then when I was in Form 2, my mom pulled me out to go to an international Islamic school. And I stayed there for about 3 or 4 months. And it was honestly the worst time in my life. I have never met a more sanctimonious bunch of people in ever. They call themselves Islamic, but they would sit, this is the boys, they would skip class to sit on the wall to point at people who are technically not Malay, assume they are not Muslim, and say, the shorts you're wearing is too short, you are going to hell. You're a certain race and you're not Muslim, you're going to hell. Like loudly say that. And I'm flabbergasted in class. Like, why would you say that? Um I did have some people who were quote unquote my champions, so they would help me in class and stuff. But one of the most damning things that happened before my mom pulled all of us out of that school was my brother also has spinal muscular atrophy. He fell in on school grounds and nobody helped him for a good 10 minutes. He was just sitting there and my mom was panicking. She was wearing normal clothes, long sleeve shirt, 3/4 pants, covered shoes. She was in the car. She saw my brother. She was waiting for somebody to pick him up because she was essentially blocking the gate. When finally she decided, screw it, I gotta go get my son. Got out of the car, engine running, go through the gate, picked my brother up, and then put him in the car. He was, a little bit bruised and battered, more confused at why nobody helped him. I remind you that there were a lot of students there, and maybe one or two teachers as well. So he got home, no worse for wear. The next day, my sister goes to her class, and her teacher, the sanctimonious bitch, goes up to her and say, "Please tell your mom to wear a tudong before she comes into school grounds." And we were all like dumbfounded, like nobody was helping my brother, and you want my mom, who was already panicking at that point, to find a scarf before helping my brother. That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life. And on the same day, a signboard came out on the gate of the school that says no tudong, no entry. So we booked it out of there.
Stupid rules.
It's so dumb. My brother was in trouble. He was on the floor. He may have been injured. We don't know. Like at that point, what if he scraped himself? He was young. I think he was still in grade 3 kot taingat. It's a while ago. And so we left that school and I talk shit about international no, I talk shit about Islamic schools all day every day because of that. And I cannot let that pass by. Like every time somebody says, "Oh, you should put that kid into Islamic school." And I'm like, "Do you want your kid to come out a degenerate? Is that it?" You don't need religion to make yourself a good person. I mean, you can leverage it. Like you can have your own religion. Nobody's going to take that from you, but you don't use religion to oppress other people. Anyway, after that, I went into an international school and I had a great time. Had crushes on boys and made a few friends who are infinitely smarter than I am. I was still like a C grade student through and through. Like I never went beyond that. Although I did almost get an A star for my O levels for math. An A star is like 99, like 95 and above out of 100. But that's because I had a good teacher. Interesting teachers make me want to learn. Boring teachers do not. There was, I think this is more a story about one of the kids in my class. We were learning about the Industrial Revolution and unionization in the 1800s, I think, in Britain. And the teacher put in huge letters UNION Everybody else is like, yeah, we're learning about unions, cool. One of the boys stood up and went, "Sir, why are we learning in history class about onions?" It's the best thing I've ever heard in my life, and I think about it all the time because I think we were in grade 10 at that time. 16, 17 years old. It was so funny. I enjoyed that. Um, but yeah, that was like a pre-university, pre-college kind of days. And I would say that would be the first hurdle as a person with disabilities, where you get to step into the first time you associate with other people who are not your family, who are always going to be a surprise for you. It's always a mixed bag. You know, the Forrest Gump line of life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. People are like weird jelly filled donuts. It might be strawberry, it might be chocolate, it might be shit. So good luck. But school is good. Making school accessible is always better because again, like the weird idea that the parents who knew Joyce thought that this disability somehow may transmit to your child other problems, like that. No, bro, that's not how this disability works. That's not how a lot of disability works. If I come in with a broken leg, I'm not just going to cause another person to lose a leg. That's weird and scientifically inaccurate unless it's a flesh eating bacteria. Which in that point, why are you sending your kids to school if they have flesh eating bacteria on their skin? Send them to the hospital. It's it's a child's first understanding of what it's like to be part of an ecosystem of people, a cog in the machine. How do they function? How do we function within a group? And that's where the kid learns to find their voice. Like, Aina had a few people who tried to help her go upstairs. Joyce had a fan. Joyce, was it just one guy or was it many, many guys when
You
you
know,
were little?
when I was little, when I was in school, um, usually guys would be friends with me. I don't know why. About girls, they are more like I don't know. They're more like they have their own cliques, and for guys, they're more friendly. So I usually tend to mix a lot more with guys, and they were helpful. But my mom didn't like me interacting with people, so uh, you know, sometimes I have to like be a bit distant when she's around so that she doesn't start nagging or become like physically or verbally abusive
Mm-hmm.
when we get home. Because what happens if I make friends is that she will become, agitated, kind of like triggered. I don't know why, but making friends for her is like a sin.
I, I,
Yeah.
I really want to have like a for real psychologist or like a clinical psychologist come in and pathologize your mom simply
Yeah, I
because
would
she's
love to hear what
such
is it.
yeah, like does she
Right.
have is she narcissistic? She sounds
I,
narcissistic, but
I think I've shared before that he was diagnosed at last in 2009 as schizophrenic.
mm, but there has to be more than that.
But that one has nothing to do with that, right?
I mean,
Schizophrenic with psychosis.
oh, okay. Okay.
Oh,
It can,
So you can
again,
say
I'm
that she's a psychopath.
I am not a trained professional. I cannot say anything about that. I cannot pathologize anyone because it's unfair because again, I'm not trained. I'm an interior designer. I know what colors your house should be and what carpets you should have and what your space should look like. But I
Right?
can't pathologize. It's just such an interesting thing to sit down and listen to this and there is an amount of amazement as I sit here and listen at how together you put yourself. I'm not going to say you are together, but I'm saying that you have put yourself in such a situation where people go, "Oh yeah, she's good. She's good. She's fine. She can do it." How does that make you feel? Like, do you feel like you want to grab somebody and say, I need help? Or,
Uh, I've I've been to the point where I was desperate for someone to find me, to know that I am stuck at home alone, cut off from the world. I was like literally wishing for someone to save me at that point. But no one came to save me, not even family. So it was just me again. I
mm,
kind of like got used to it. That's what caused my depression, I guess, and a lot
mm-hmm,
of my insecurities.
mm-hmm,
Oh yeah, one more thing I have to share is that when people give me stuff like presents or anything, gifts or tokens of friendship, my mom will just take it from me, it out of my reach, or just literally throw it away.
what?
Yes.
I,
Oh,
I,
like,
I don't like this.
mm,
Oh, so angry. It makes me so angry. But at the same time,
Why?
I'm
Why are you
sure
angry?
because it is unfair. It's the same anger I feel when people talk about um the lower income bracket as if, oh, if they work harder they'll just get more money. Like, no, that's not how it works. It's that same anger. The anger that you have when you know you can't do anything.
Hmm. I'm just like, why can't I keep my stuff? I mean, like, why when someone treats me nice, he has to overreact and then get all angry and abusive? I don't understand that part.
It kind of makes me think of people who have worked hard their entire life and they cannot see other people having it easy, so they have to sort of put you down. There's a lot of
I
people
don't.
like that, by the way, even if you're not
I
disabled.
don't.
you
I
know,
don't.
but one thing is that I'm curious about Joy's moms. I mean, like, she doesn't want you to be friend with anyone, but then she sent you to school.
I think I think she wants to send you to school at that time because of the obligation and the obvious, like,
Yes, she did
if
mention before,
yeah,
because if she
uh-huh.
didn't send me to
Uh,
school, the authorities might find out and then blah blah blah. So that's why she sent me to school.
So it is
She didn't say
uh,
about
definitely
that.
based on obligation. Like, she doesn't want to lose you.
I don't know what she wants. I am confused.
I am also confused. Like, I feel like you are a tool that she's holding on to, that gives her some sort of power, which is very strange. I don't understand it personally. Why do you have power, like, on like an entire person? But
Mm, I'm
that
not
be
sure,
a
but
problem.
every time she sees me, like last time, like last year when I last met her, she was like trying to make me go back with her and live with her again. She kept insisting that you're not working, you don't have a salary, you better come home with me. I'm like, huh?
What?
And she said you can't work. You don't have the ability to work. I'm like, what?
Okay, see, that's what I don't understand. Let's go away from your mom, for example, for a moment, and talk about how people view disabled people in general. Like, I think last Tuesday I had the opportunity, thanks to some people, to speak with a bunch of kids in the older years in school about SMA, about the identity model of disability, and it's something that I wish people leveraged more towards, because when you identify as a disabled, you have put that as a label on yourself. You're saying, hey, you can't run away from this. I'm disabled, full stop. Like, everything I do is based on whether or not my disability stops me from doing it because of systemic oppression, because of structural impossibilities. Like, it's a bit like having a person look up the stairs, but the stairs is not there. Like, you can't just climb up there or parkour up there if you don't have the ability, right? So this is this sort of having an identity of a disabled person. And again, I use the word disabled because society and structurally we are disabled. It's not we disable ourselves. Um, the more people see that, the more they understand that, hey, maybe there is more to life than basic ass bitches doing things the normal way. We have to understand that if you work around making things accessible, then it's accessible to everyone, not just disabled people, not just age, not just people with what is it, the strollers for babies. It's accessible to everyone. And when you have things accessible to everyone, people will start looking at disabled people uh oh, kasianya, oh, poor thing. Oh, look at what we're doing to help you achieve your goals. Like, no, you're just making it easier so that we can do it ourselves. Like, the technical thing that we need help with is to make sure everything is on a level playing field. So, what is my point? My point is when people view disabled people through a lens of pity and taking away our self actualization, our agency, that's some bad news bears. And I feel like throughout um your entire childhood in education, that is so explicitly denied for a lot of kids now. Like you go into school expecting I'm gonna get an education. I, a disabled child, is going to get an education. But as a parent of like a young child who is disabled, you have to go through so many hoops to even understand how difficult it is to put that kid through. Otherwise, you have to leverage on, oh, I'll just homeschool them. I hate to say this, but a lot of parents do not have the qualifications to homeschool their child. You need to know a lot. The older they get, the harder it is to homeschool. But we are in an age where internet has done a lot. I don't like that the COVID thing happened. I really don't. But what I do like from the aftermath of that is the opening of communications through the internet, having Zoom meetings, having classrooms on over the internet, having streaming class. Apparently, there's a guy who used to stream his classroom on Twitch and would have like random people drop in and listen as well. And I thought that was hilarious. I wish I knew that was happening because I would totally sit in. That is hilarious to me. I love it. Um, so for Aina, for example, let's go past your grade school years. How did you enjoy your high school?
My high school it was okay, I think. Much better than primary school because of
How
the
so?
teachers are more the teachers are more, how do you say that, um more understanding. They
Hmm.
put my class in the lower ground until form 4. Well,
Okay.
form 4 I did change. I changed to I went to what is this called, art stream. You know when
Hmm.
people say that, hey, you have a good PMR result, you should go to science streams or accounts. I was like, nah, not my thing. Not my thing. Don't ask me to study science, not
Understand.
bio.
I don't understand why there's so much slander against Artstream. Like people,
Yeah.
again, this boils down to post-industrial revolution education standards. We need soft sciences. We need art, culture, design. We need soft sciences, and I would say that is equally as important as STEM.
It
So,
is, yeah. I don't know why like so people are still looking down at art. So they were like, okay, everyone was telling me, hey, you should go to science stream. I was like, whatever, I'm not going to go there.
not
So
now.
I just stick to art stream for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So then my school teacher decided to put my class on the first floor because they said, oh, because art we have a art class. I think art class is on the second floor, so it's easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, of course, no complaint from my parents. I was like, okay lah, as long as I'm okay, even my friends are okay, they help me. Going up and down from the stairs for 7 months. for
I
seven
imagine
months,
you
and then
felt an amount of fear going up and down the stairs all the time.
yeah, it is. It was like I think I almost fall down. I did. I had that incident of falling down almost, but then my friend was like, "Oh, okay, relax, Anna. We got you." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I know, I know." But then it was like, wow, the
Uh,
incident was
shit.
so yeah. It's like you're falling down. You know that you will crack your bones or anything, but thank God nothing happened. But then after that, I changed to account stream after a while because the it's not because I like account. It's because the teachers. You know what the I don't know whether is it this my school or other school. The teachers like the third class or the back class. How do you call that? You don't have to learn lah. Like when all the classes say, cikgu today tak nak belajar lah, tak payah belajar. Oh, okay.
Cikgu malas.
She, yeah, the teachers, not one, okay? There's a few teachers. I mean, like, the teachers in the third class, they'll say, like, oh, okay, today tak payah belajar. Just
And
up to you
okay,
what you want to do.
correct me if I'm wrong. The first class is science stream, the second class is accounting, and the third class is art.
Yeah,
Again, why the slander against the art stream? Damn.
that's,
Y'all need to
that's
stop doing
why.
that.
I do, right? Yeah, I mean, like, my classmates are amazing. They are good. Actually, they wanted to learn. Only a few that doesn't want to learn. Okay lah, that one understandable. But yeah,
Mhm.
and most of them wanted to learn. But then when the teacher said like, "Oh, okay, today tak payah belajar," they was like, okay, so I cannot tahan. I can only tahan for 7 months. Then I changed to account stream. But
Oh
at
my
the same
god.
time, I still take arts lah. Just that I need to study myself.
On one hand, again, I'm not very academically inclined. And art class to me, when I was doing art class, I did being in an international school allowed you the ability to take whatever class you want. So I
Mm,
did very poorly on chemistry, biology, physics, math, English, bahasa, Islamiyat, and geography and art. Going to art class for me, I didn't learn techniques. I just learned different styles of artists. And a lot of it was
mm,
like, instead of understanding why the artist did it that way and trying to find your own voice, it was mostly the teacher going, copy this, become like this. So when you did the art exam, you are a very poor example of that art style instead of trying to find your own, which I personally didn't enjoy.
yeah, it was boring in that way.
Hmm. Agak
Mm,
kesian because art is art. You can't force somebody to be an artist. And I hate to say that people who are gifted in art, who have the finesse as they grow up, they're forced into a kind of mold when they go into art school. This is me from like a design school perspective. Granted, I didn't do fine arts. I will probably not do very well there purely because it's a very physical endeavor. Like you hold paintbrushes. It's also very messy, and I cannot do messy. I don't want to touch everything and have paint on it. Which is very different from Aina, who is just like finessing
yeah,
art.
messy isn't maybe.
Hmm. So,
Mm.
what about Joyce? Like you escaped school. What was your trajectory from there? Was it homeschool all the way or study yourself? Did you steal your brother's books?
Yeah, I steal my brother's books. I wasn't homeschooled as in like with proper teachers or anything. It's more like self-studying, picking up whatever I have on hand or whatever is in the house, whatever books I can get my hands on. So most people have a hard time believing that I, I learn English by myself. Because
Mm-hmm.
everyone who I speak to, when I open my mouth, they think that I graduated from somewhere. So when I say that I didn't graduate, I didn't go to school, and they're like, "What?" Okay, but I spend most of my time reading at home, writing. I used to love writing when I was at home. I would read the dictionary every day,
Mm-hmm.
learning new words, vocabulary, and stuff like that. I also self-study Japanese, so I can write, I can read Japanese on a basic level. Um, and I also self-studied French and, and do sketching as well. I used to sketch when I was younger, and then playing the piano. So it was mostly this sort of activities that I do at home because I was stuck at home. My mom wasn't keen on getting teachers, so I had to make the best of what I had. So I don't understand the part of like life in college or life in university. I've never experienced any of that. So when you guys discussed about that, I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
a bit not, yeah.
It's honestly not much different from what you've been doing by yourself. In fact, I would say that you have a more focused area of study because you do what you want to do. When you go into college, it's very, very focused on how you're going to end up and in which industry.
Mm.
I'm not saying it's a
But
bad
they
thing.
are teachers, right? There are teachers there to guide
I'm gonna
you.
tell you a secret. Sometimes the teachers are really bad. Like sometimes you learn yourself.
Yeah.
There would
Oh,
be points where you go up to the lecturer and you're like, "Sir or ma'am, can I ask you about this?" And then they'll turn to you and be like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "I am asking you because I don't have an opinion." Damn. But of course, at that
okay.
age, you don't know anything. You're not sassy. So you just go, what do I think? So you say the wrong thing and then you leave because you just wasted 30 minutes that you could do by eating a curry puff somewhere in the canteen by yourself. So sometimes
Okay.
teachers just not good. Sometimes you get wonderful teachers who become sort of like a mentor to you. But most of the time, I just feel like we just don't have good educators. I say that as a person who was in school quite a while ago. So I don't know what's going on right now. Maybe we have better teachers. I don't know.
I don't know about that. But I had a bad experience also.
Oh, tell me.
I remember this one teacher, she taught all of us wrongly. That one is Bahasa Melayu, subject Bahasa Melayu. She taught us wrongly. So imagine I never got a B for Bahasa Melayu. But then suddenly I got B. And my mom was like, "Hey, what the hell? Why is your Malay B?" So of course I was shocked. And then I checked with my friends, the question paper, the exam paper. Exactly, it's actually my answer are the same. Just that the teacher said it's wrong, so she marked it zero,
What?
zero, 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 zero,
Okay. Some of
zero,
these
zero.
teachers have like a marking sheet that they have to follow, and that's where they give you points. They don't really. I'm not blaming them wholeheartedly. Like I'm not giving them 100% blame because the school system has a certain way of doing things, right? There is an examination system that they have to go through. So even if you're right, sometimes
Yeah,
there's
that's
just
true.
too many students for them to read every question. And I'm like, to me, that doesn't make sense. Like you're an educator, right? So maybe read the questions that you ask the students because sometimes students are very colorful and interesting and intelligent. And they might have a fix to something that you never thought possible. Or maybe your question is just weirdly worded and the answer is very funny. Like the
So
triangle with bunch of numbers and then it says find x and then a student just circles x with an arrow that says found it. Student is not wrong, technically. Following the letter of the law instead of the spirit of the law. Um, Joyce, how did you find self study personally? How did you find the? I know you're an autodidact. You study by yourself. You find sort of the will to do that. But how did you find sources? How did you sort of acquire that knowledge in a pre? I wouldn't say pre-internet age, but a less open internet age.
Mm. Well, like I said, I would find whatever I could get my hands on and read the books that are in the house. Um, and I learned the computer by myself because back in school, if you wanted to go to computer class, you have to like go somewhere else. So I usually don't have that opportunity. So I just messed around with mom's laptop,
Mm-hmm.
and I taught myself to learn most of the things because that time you can say that the internet is not really as good as now. The information isn't really as uh, you know as good as now, but it was at least sufficient in some areas. Like I would usually pick subjects that I was interested in, like you know, I think you would find it funny, but like Greek mythology.
Okay, I
uh,
will tell you not so secret. I went on Coursera during COVID times and I did a course. I forgot which university did it. I think it's Philadelphia U or something like that. I will probably be wrong because I can't remember. But there is a course called Greek and Roman mythology, which I took.
oh,
Coursera is
what was
free. Definitely check it out. It was where I learned about Xenia. It's a phrase. It's a word that literally means that everything I have is for you when you have a guest.
okay?
So pretty much
Uh,
dropping everything you have to make sure your guest is treated in the best possible way. And I was like, I like that. It's also why a lot of Greek and Roman mythologies talk about people just barging into your house and you're like, no, hey, it's cool. Drink my wine. Eat my bread. Enjoy my horse, I guess. Where are you going? Come back. Oh, you're a hero? Cool. Please don't come back. That kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think it's stupid at all. I think that's wonderful.
yeah. So I also read up on religion, even though it's not my religion, but I was interested in stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I picked on things that I had interest in, like for example, like English literature. I would download those. I don't know what you call them last time, but I think it's in PDF. Those kind of
Mm-hmm.
e-books that they had, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Download them and read on them. I like English literature. I don't know why. I just like it, and poetry and poems and stuff like that. And sometimes I would ask my mom to help me get books. Um, and then I would list down the books that I wanted. Of course, I have to pay her. Out of
It was just
out
okay.
of
It was like you would ask her to get books, and in my mind, like she got books. No, you have to pay her back. I cry
yeah.
inside.
Pay her back.
It
So I have
hurts
to
me.
pay her back with whatever money I had, like in case I have Chinese New Year money and stuff like that, or maybe allowance from my dad or something like that. So she would deduct from there, and yeah, it was like I choose what I want to read up on, and I just went with the flow. I didn't really like go through the whole thing as in like 100%. It's like if I feel like it, I will read up on it and I will digest the information, something like that. So you cannot call it like exactly 100% self-study. It's more like enjoying reading up on stuff like um, increasing knowledge, something like that. So uh, yeah, I wouldn't say that it was the best way to learn. It's kind of messy. I wouldn't recommend it though.
Well, it's kind of messy only from outside looking in, but I feel like you as a person know exactly how you absorb things. Like if you ask me to read, I would be less inclined, especially if the paper is dry. But if you ask me to watch something and I can control the speed at which I learn, I can do that easy. Like I'm a very visual, tactile learner, which was why school
Ah,
was so terrible for me because it's just like, okay, just listen to this person talk theory, but nothing ever happens. Oh God, it was so boring.
okay.
But
So
yes,
you're more of a visual learner.
I'm a visual and tactile learner. So if I do things, there's a higher chance for me to sort of commit it to memory and know it forever until I die. I'll be 90 and still remember certain things. It's
Mm.
terrible
Mm.
because now I have weird information in my head that does nothing but sit there and make it awkward when I'm at a dinner party. Like they'll be talking about weird doctor stuff or lawyer stuff, and I'll be like, "Hey, do you guys know whales sleep upright in the ocean?" And they'll be like, "What?" Facts, facts with Shaw. Uh, but yeah, I love hearing that you sort of took it upon yourself to learn. So you did well in French. You studied Japanese yourself. You learned Greek mythology.
Mm.
What other secret things do you know that you're hiding? Like I feel like Joyce has a superpower and you're just hiding it from all of us. One day you'll be like, haha, I
Yeah,
created
like
Stark
what did we
Industries.
do? No.
I think I think that's about it that I have because uh, because music, art, and language uh, is what I'm interested in. So these are the three areas that I would put my focus on. Um, yeah. So, but the problem is that I have a very bad or weak foundation in stuff like this because I just jump into things. I don't go through the basics. It's like straight to advanced or intermediate. So it's very messy, like I mentioned just now. It's a very messy way of learning, but you do get to learn things in the process. Uh, but I really wouldn't recommend this type of learning to anyone because it can get very, I don't know, very messy in your head.
I understand what you are saying. I just recently listened to Noam Chomsky talk about um, the internet, and I think this is relevant in areas of study and self study as well. Um, he says, and I quote because I wrote this down because it's such a powerful line. If you know what you're looking for, the kind of framework or understanding which directs you to a particular thing, it lets you sideline lots of others. Then this can be a very valuable tool. Again, he's talking about the internet. I am relating this to education and learning. Of course, you have to be willing to ask, is my framework the right one? Maybe I ought to modify it. Maybe there is something I look at that questions it. I should rethink how I'm looking at things. If you don't understand or know what you're looking for, if you don't have some kind of conception of what matters, exploring the internet is just picking out random factoids that don't mean anything. You have to know how to evaluate, interpret, and understand. So my brain is the second paragraph where he says exploring the internet is just picking out random factoids that don't mean anything. Thankfully for me, my brain consolidates all that factoids into things that I can use. Thankfully. Otherwise it's just random facts. Like, why do you have this fact? Why did this fact come up right now? Why? Lots of questions. I feel like barriers aside, we did well for what we were given. Granted, Aina and I, our parents give us a step up in that they fought for us. They went to school and argued. They made enemies that way, or friends, depending on who the teacher is. Um, but they allowed us the ability to become who we are, to grow our personality, to base who we are now as an adult by being able to go in schools and communicate and interact and make bonds. Joyce went the other way. Joyce was not supported by her parents. She found the joy in study by herself. Either of them are good for certain things. But when you talk about development, you just help these kids going to school, damn. Ramps, accessible toilets, teachers that care. But I say that, but there's a lot of teachers that don't care because they are not paid enough to care. The school system does not pay teachers. They allow teachers to exist within the framework and build some kind of network to pull those students into their what do you call those things? After school teaching sessions, their tuition centers. Because I remember explicitly a teacher saying, I can't teach you all of this right now, but I can teach you all if you sign up to my tuition. And I'm like, this is in the pedagogy. You should be teaching us this right now. Of course, this is, adult me going through my memory, realizing this is messed up. Like, you're capitalizing on the fact that students need to achieve a certain amount of academic zeal, a certain amount of A's in that student's life, that because are you not paid enough? You're probably not paid enough. But this is also me coming at it from like an international school kid point of view. Like, surely international teachers are paid more.
Yeah, compared to government school, it's supposed to be.
Which is again sad because these are the people that are holding the hands of the future generation. If they don't care, how do we expect the future generation to care? Lakan.
Uh-uh.
Hobby Horse mentioned in chat that they didn't have a chemistry teacher tapi SPM dapat A2. I find that fascinating because I was a terrible student. Like, just I will say this and I will say it every time. Like, I'm a C grade student at best because it's just boring to me. Alkene chains? Why? But now, the funny thing is now with the amount of information I have that I have retained from chemistry class and physics and biology, I do fermentation at home. So I have a kombucha thing going on. I am fermenting some chilies for some hot sauce, and you learn or you remember the process of sugars turning into alcohol, turning into vinegar. And I think yeah, the COOH, which is an alcohol, turning into an OH plus and a H no, OH minus and a H plus. Like, that has seared itself into my brain, and that was Form 4 chemistry, grade 10 chemistry. That was so many years ago. That was in 2003. No, 2002. So I'm not saying like the kids are poor learners. I'm saying that how people teach could be better. And it hurts. Do you guys feel like you want to go back into school? Like, I don't. People are like, you should try masters, and
No.
I'm like, I would like a nap.
Yes, I would.
Okay. I don't want.
I
I
would
don't
like.
want.
Joyce?
I would like to go back to school if possible,
Mm-hmm.
but I would choose to study on arts, like like sketching and stuff like that. I think more towards digital illustration.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would want to focus on, as well as language. Yeah.
Those are two very separate fields of studies, like for for uni stuff.
Yeah, I know
I
because I'm
I
pretty
wonder because you don't have a formal education. I actually am wondering if you can apply for a degree or at least a foundation year.
I'm not sure about that because the last time I tried to enroll into what do you call a vocational school? I think for digital drawing, like digital illustration.
Mm-hmm.
They said that you need SPM or something like that. I don't know, but they rejected me. Two of the schools rejected me. I was 17 or 18 at that time.
Mm.
It asked for a solid 12 years of education. So I didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
They just turned me straight down.
Hmm.
I'm not sure about the current, current situation, but if possible, I would like to study on arts and language.
Language is very interesting. I know that if you're a polyglot and you can do translations on the fly, you're very valuable in the UN.
Mm.
Like I wish I was more um focused on things like that when I was growing up, when I was sort of like in my late teens. I wish I did the whole UN circuit thing, like join the was it UN youth. I know one friend who was in the youth United Nations youth and I was always so impressed, but it never occurred to me to be like, "Hey, I also want." It's too busy being a little piss. Like, games. Ah, go out, friends. So I would say my power level could be higher, but I'm okay with that, actually. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
whatever rocks your boat. I mean, whatever floats your boat.
but
There's,
sometimes there's deep regret.
there's no what?
There is deep regret. You know, when you look at yourself back in the day and you're like, I could have been better. If, okay,
Mm,
okay, here's this a fun thing. What would you say to your 16-year-old self and to your 10-year-old self?
what would I say to my 16-year-old self? I think my 16-year-old self. Is it 16 or 60?
1-6.
16?
This is in the
One
My
before
six.
times. I think when you're
16
60,
year
you're like, get off my lawn.
I think I would tell my 16-year-old self that everything's gonna be
Uh-uh.
okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Just keep going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be too hard on yourself. That's what I would tell my 16-year-old self.
What about your 10-year-old self?
My 10-year-old self. I think my 10-year-old self would probably be the same thing that I would tell her because during the time that I'm growing up, it's always a lot of stress and it's very depressing because there was no one and I always keep thinking to myself, will I make it? Will I make it? Will I make it? Uh, yeah, so that would be the same message I would give to my 10-year-old self.
What about Aina? 16-year-old and 10-year-old.
16-year-old would be listen to yourself more, listen to myself, not listening to others. Mm, 10 years will be just enjoy your life.
Ah, okay. I think if I had access to my 16-year-old self, I would say sell Bitcoin at 42,000. Um, no, but seriously, I think I would say don't be such a shithead and read
Why?
more books.
Why?
I was a terrible child. I was always causing trouble. It's like I was a teen, man. Counterculture, always like not
Rebel?
listening to authority. But I didn't have enough sort of information to fight for my own rights. It's a bit like like a devil may care attitude and a rebel without a cause. Like why are you so angry? I mean, I get why you're angry now, 16-year-old Shah, but you need to bolster that anger with information, with facts. Like I think I would have gone down the socialist pipeline way better had I been able to get more books on that. What about 10-year-old me? What was I doing at 10? 10 was grade 4. Oh yeah, Backstreet Boys is not that cool. Um, learn more music. The recorder looks silly now, but it will be better once you figure out how to play more than Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Okay.
Facts. But I do wish I read more books when I was younger.
Hmm. Well, it's never too late to start.
Oh no, I read so much now. Like my face is glued to a book. Right now I am reading a book called Bitter in the Mouth by a Vietnamese American writer, Trong something. And let me Google that really quick. Bitter in the Mouth. Monique Trong. It's a book about a woman who is a Vietnamese American as well, who has synesthesia. Every time they hear a word, they taste the word.
They taste the word.
Yeah. So I can't remember what the flavor was, but imagine every time you hear the word um, horse, you taste mint, or Monday, you taste uh, McDonald's burger.
That's nice.
Like every time somebody speaks to you, instead of hearing the words, you're tasting weird flavors, like a combination of cherry and grass. Like it's never cohesive. It's a very interesting book. Yes, Vivaldi did compose on the recorder or for the recorder, but recorder's just silly. I was one of those kids who was like, I want a melodica or melodian where you blow into it and it's a tiny piano and you just collect saliva. That is essentially what that small machine is. A saliva collector for young children. Definitely gonna give you strep throat. But yeah, I think I had a lot of fun in school. But again, I could still walk a little bit. I could still participate in a way where I wasn't confined to a wheelchair. I can imagine life would be a lot worse had I not. The the experiences I had gone through compared to my brother who did go to an SMK sekolah. Sorry, not SMK. S what is below menengah?
Sekolah kebangsaan,
Is
what,
that
SK?
like, yeah, the junior school? Like he was in an SK and I
Yeah.
remember um the kids used to bully him and push him down. That's why my mom moved us into an Islamic school, which I disagree. Like bad. But I just personally don't understand why people are so small minded that they need to not think about these things. That they go, oh, you're disabled, you're gonna make my kid disabled. Like, lady, your kid will become disabled if they continue to jump off trees without protection. Damn, your kid dumb. It is not my fault. Half the time the kids are doing stupid shit, and like it is not the fact that there is a disabled people in classroom that is gonna cause your child to do irreparable harm on themselves. That's mostly their own fault, and I would hazard to say yours because you never watch them.
Hmm.
But the blame throwing, I'm always amazed at how they can defer blame, parents and teachers alike, when it comes to children with disabilities. It's always trying to not rock the boat, trying to not do extra work. Like, what happened to the pride in your work? Like, just consistently impressed with the this
Not most
country.
people take pride in their work.
Exactly. They should.
They won't.
I mean, this boils down to the fact that I don't agree with people who go into medicine for the money. Like, if you're going into medicine to make money, you're already denying yourself, or rather, you're already blocking yourself from the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. Every time you're succumbing to capitalism, you're already doing harm. Okay? That is the truth of everything. When you do something for money, there is big harm.
I mean, the world out there is like that. Everyone wants profit. Everyone wants something to be profitable. So it's the kind of world we are living in where people want to see the value in things that they invest in. And if they
They
cannot
want
see
to
the
see
value,
they want to see the value in things they invest in, but they don't see the value in themselves. They don't see the value in the future. People are very limited in their point of view. They cannot extrapolate.
that is what they call tunnel vision.
A tunnel vision. Isn't it always though? It's so disappointing. I want to know what's happening in schools now. Like what is the state of the schooling
Yeah.
system?
I
Because
think
I
it's
we
mean,
more
are,
how
acceptable.
does it
yeah, we are so far removed
really?
from the system.
I don't think it's accessible enough, right? I mean,
Apa
like
dia?
we have our SMA, we have the young SMA, upper SMA kids, can they're
Mm.
not in the school also.
I know one is going to school, and she found a school that is willing to accept a disabled student. That's a
See,
disgusting phrase.
willing, yeah,
The fact that you must be willing to accept a disabled child. Like, holy
yeah.
hell. This kid is fine. It's just a wheelchair. Put all classes on the ground floor. People can walk. Most people, except for the disabled kid, who you're. Oh, it's so dangerous. I just can't imagine. Every time somebody decides, I will pick you up and carry you to the top of the stairs, and or carry you down the stairs, and I'm like, if I die, I will haunt you until the day you die, and then I will haunt your ghost forever
Oh my god.
till eternity. I will be in your ear. Now I'm thinking maybe the people who have tinnitus are actually haunted by ghosts, just screaming in their ear consistently. That's why they cannot hear anything else. Like, bro, that's your fault. What did you do? No offense to people with actual tinnitus. Like that stuff is nasty. I understand what you feel. Or I will try to understand what you're feeling. Oh, I'm so happy we had this talk. I think we talk about education a lot, but again, being removed from the situation currently, I think the closest I can get is to universities, but universities in general are very helpful if you put your foot
Yeah.
down, if you are
Mm-mm.
difficult, if you have money, because they want your
Mm-mm.
money. That's the
True.
truth. They're like, oh, you have money? Yes. That's when you can push your weight around a bit. You'll be like, oh, I want classes downstairs. Can you do that? Because it's basic decency, it's basic human rights, and they will do that for you. And the teachers are really nice in university because they're doing what they want to do. Like they're getting paid because they're tenured and they are part of the faculty and they're dealing with almost adults. But when it comes to kindergarten, junior school and high school, I wonder what it is now. Like I wonder what is the participation of the disabled community as a student body? What is the rate of education? What is the number of students? What backgrounds do they come from? What kind of supports do they have? Um, their aspirations and inspirations. Also, are they getting bullied? Who's helping them? What kind of friends are they making? Obviously, different people have different levels of charisma. Some people might amass a lot of friends. In a way, I'm thankful that I have a decent amount of charisma and I can make friends. I understand that some people are a little bit more introverted and are unable to connect. But I still think that going to school teaches you how to do that, or at least would plant the seed in how to be a sociable creature. Because we can't do
For
anything
me,
without people's help.
I think I've become socially inept.
You're working through it by doing this podcast. Talking about all these things. We are 15 minutes away from 11:30. I am all talked out when it comes to education. And I also kind of feel a little bit detached from it. Would be nice to hear from other people what their experiences are like when they were at school. Um, if you're disabled or not disabled, if you have children in schools right now, would be interesting to hear your side of the story, how you had to fight. Because I'm serious, we had to fight so hard to get an education.
Yep.
Do you guys have anything else to say before we close out?
Regarding fighting for education, I had to fight with my mom regarding education because after she pulled me out every time out of school, I would argue with her, I would debate with her about why I didn't deserve to go to school and what was the reason for her pulling me out. I would debate and discuss until she was so angry that she threatened to slap me. I tried to say, I tried to tell her that I had the rights to go to school, and she wouldn't take it as the reason. So I think I always argue with her every time. Uh, I mean, when we were living together, I would always argue with her about this. I would always argue with her like, why can't I go to school? Why? Why not? So it didn't end with anything, but I think at least I tried. I guess. Uh, well, yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, every time I hear stories about your mom, I'm like physically angry noises. But again, we can't do anything about it because one, it's the past, and two, you've got it sorted. Technically, like you're good.
Yeah, well, sort of.
I know anything from you.
I just hope that the school has changed now. I mean, like the education maybe become better.
Mm-hmm.
At least better than my time. I just hope so. So people change. Who knows? We are hoping for the better future for the kids. At least they get the proper education and they get the rights to study, to go to school. No more discrimination, maybe.
Mm. I mean, here's the thing: we talk about disabled people as an economic revenue, but we forget that they're also like a mental powerhouse if you let them. People talk about how oh we mustn't abort babies because they might be the new the current generation's Einstein or Louis Pasteur. And I'm like, yeah, at the same time you deny education to disabled children. They could be the one discovering the cure for cancer. They could be the one who finds a new drug that can cure something. But they can't now because they don't go to school. Maybe think about that. I don't expect anybody in any position of power in this country to be watching this chillcast right now.
Hard to
But
say, you know.
call to action. Do your work. Damn, why do we pay you? Thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a good rest of the month until we see you again next month. Third Friday of the month, I think. No. Or the second last Friday of every month, we will be speaking. And I think we'll cap this first season at 10 episodes. And then we'll see what goes on there. Until then, we love you. Drink water. Wear your mask. And be good. And be safe. Bye.